The emergency beacon cut through the silence of the medical bay like a scream. Danny's hand stilled over her instruments as the priority alert flashed across every screen in the facility. Red, urgent, critical, incoming trauma, the AI announced. Kravath vessel requesting immediate assistance. Category juvenile. Status critical. Danny's breath caught. The Kravath, the galaxy's most feared warriors. 7 feet of scaled muscle and calculated violence. They'd been humanity's enemies for 3 decades before the treaty, and even now, 5 years into the peace, the scars ran deep. Most human colonies still whispered their name with dread, and now one of their children was dying. Prep Or 3, Danny called to her assistant, Noah, who was already moving. The young medic had worked with her for 2 years, and he knew her well enough to recognize that tone. This wasn't a request. This was war, just a different kind. The Kravath ship docked with a violence that shook the station. Within minutes the doors burst open and Commander Vektar stormed in, cradling a small form against his chest. Behind him 3 more Kravath warriors stood with weapons drawn, their eyes scanning for threats that didn't exist. "Human doctor," Vektar's voice was gravel and desperation. "Save her." Danny stepped forward, unflinching before beings who could tear her apart with their bare claws. "Put her on the table, now." The child, she couldn't have been more than 6 in human years, was wrapped in thermal blankets soaked with blue blood. Her scales, which should have gleamed with youth's iridescence, were dull and gray. Her breathing came in shallow, labored gasps. What happened? Danny's hands were already working, scanners humming to life. Noah beside her prepping IV lines. "Plasma explosion," Vektar said, his massive frame trembling. "Training accident." "Her organs." The scanner said her organs are failing. Danny's eyes swept the readings. Liver analog ruptured, equivalent of a spleen hemorrhaging. Burns across 40% of her body. In Kravath physiology, this was a death sentence. Their healing factor was legendary, but it couldn't repair this kind of catastrophic damage fast enough. "I need you all out," Danny said, her voice steel. "Except you, Commander." "You're her father?" "Yes, then you stay. The rest out. Noah, we're starting." The other Kravath warriors bristled, but Vektar raised a clawed hand. They obeyed, though their growls echoed down the corridor. For the next 6 hours, Danny fought death itself. Human medicine wasn't designed for Kravath biology. Every textbook, every protocol she'd learned was for her own species. But Danny had spent the last 5 years doing something no other human had dared. She'd studied alien physiology. Not just the Kravath, but every species in the Galactic Assembly. Because she'd understood something fundamental. Pain was universal. Suffering transcended species. And if she could help, she would. "Noah, I need you to hold this clamp exactly here," she instructed, her hands buried in the child's torso. The Kravath circulatory system was more complex than human, with redundant pathways that could be both blessing and curse. "Don't let it slip. If this artery severs, she's gone." Noah's hands were steady despite his exhaustion. "Got it. Suction. I can't see the damage to the secondary liver lobe." Danny's voice was calm, clinical, but sweat beaded on her forehead. The temperature in the OR had climbed to match Kravath body heat, 15 degrees hotter than humans preferred. Vektar stood in the corner, a statue of barely contained anguish. His claws scored marks into his own arms as he watched his daughter's life hang by a thread. Hour 7. "The child's vitals crashed. She's coding," Noah shouted. Danny's response was instantaneous. "Get me the cardiac stimulator, the modified one. The standard won't work on her physiology. We don't have... I built one last month. Cabinet 7, red case." "Move," Noah sprinted. Danny's hands worked with precision that defied human limitation. She'd been awake for 23 hours before this surgery began. Her body screamed for rest. Her mind refused. The stimulator arrived. Danny placed it with absolute accuracy over the child's dual-chambered heart. "Clear." The jolt of energy pulsed through the small body. Nothing. Again. Vektar made a sound, something between a growl and a sob that no warrior of his people should ever make. "Not yet," Danny whispered. "Not on my watch. Again." This time the monitors chirped. A heartbeat. "Weak but present. I've got her," Danny breathed. "Noah, prep the regenerative gel, the compound we synthesized. We're going to coat the damaged organs and let her own healing factor do the rest. But we need to keep her stable long enough for it to work." Hour 9. Danny sutured the last internal repair, her fingers moving with muscle memory alone. She couldn't feel them anymore, couldn't feel much of anything except the driving need to finish. Hour 12. The child's scales began to shimmer with the faintest hint of color. Hour 14. Her breathing steadied, deepened. Hour 16. Danny finally stepped back from the table. Noah caught her as her knees buckled. She's stable, Danny said, her voice hoarse. She'll need recovery time. But she's going to live. Vektar approached, and for a moment, Danny wondered if he would understand what she'd done, or if cultural differences would make gratitude impossible. The Kravath were warriors. They respected strength, not mercy. The massive alien dropped to one knee before her. "You are small," he said slowly. "Soft, your claws cannot rend, your fangs cannot tear. We thought humans weak. We thought you prey." He looked up, and his eyes, Predator's eyes, were filled with something Danny had never seen in a Kravath before. "We were fools. You do not stop. You do not surrender. You fight for life itself with more ferocity than we bring to war." He placed a clawed hand over his chest, the Kravath gesture of highest honor. "My cub lives because a human would not let her die. My people will know this. The galaxy will know this." Danny swayed on her feet, exhaustion crashing over her now that the adrenaline had faded. "I'm a doctor," she said simply. "It's what we do." "No," Vektar said. "It is what humans do. You are terrifying, Dr. Danny. More terrifying than any warrior. Because you will not stop. You cannot be made to stop. Not by exhaustion, not by impossibility, not by death itself." Noah helped Danny to a chair as Vektar returned to his daughter's side, his massive hand gently stroking her scales. "Why?" Noah asked quietly. "Why push yourself this hard? She's not even human." Danny watched the reunion, father and daughter, and smiled tiredly. "That's exactly why. If we only saved our own, we'd be no different than what we used to be. We'd still be fighting, still be afraid." She closed her eyes. "Someone has to show them there's another way. Might as well be us." In the corner of the OR, the child stirred and for the first time in 16 hours made a sound. A small whimpering cry, the sound of life, the sound of hope. And in that moment, the Kravath commander understood what made humanity truly dangerous. Not their weapons, not their tactics, but their absolute stubborn refusal to accept that anyone, even their former enemies, should die alone. ND